January 17, 2024. I'll start with saying hello to Kenosis and Silent Walk and Super Painting 62, Oracle 11, Louisiana, Skywatch. How are you doing, Louisiana? Kathy Cox, Wonder Why, Marsha, and Patricia White. Pooch Palace, I'm a Skeptic, and Rage Against the Machine, Andrew Cruz and Linty London, and Sherry Hughes and Marty, thank you very much. Much appreciate your presence. And we've got Ray Clay, and Jay Northrup, and Lady J Homestead. Hi. We're going to start with weather. Whether or not you care, we're starting with weather. And boy, sewer main breaks, the freezing, causing water pipes bursting, flooding out homes. New Jersey, places in New Jersey, I think, they have been suffering for about a week. But here, DC, sewer main break, causes flooding in 12 D.C. District of Columbia homes.
Sewage flooding into several homes on the border between D.C. and Prince George's County. Just look at this. Neighbors are thanking us for getting the word out about this. The basements in 12 different homes flooded yesterday with wastewater. Tonight, our Rafael Sanchez Cruz has the answer as to what caused that flooding.
WSSC Water is telling us that the cause of that flooding is a broken 10-inch sewer main here on Southern Avenue.
I would never even have fathomed yesterday, to be quite honest. We've had things that happen, but never to that magnitude.
Tonight, the wastewater has been cleared from the 12 homes that flooded yesterday along Southern Avenue and Fort DuPont Street Southeast.
If you take a close look, you can see how high the water is. That's over a foot, maybe a foot and a half.
WSSC Water says the repairs to the sewer main break were completed last night. And today, crews hired by the company cleaned and sanitized the impacted homes.
They took off the flooring, removed the base storage down here, took away the appliances, the washer and dryer.
Keonti Silver says the quick response is in part due to her neighbors voicing their concerns. She says too often neighborhoods in Southeast are neglected, but tonight she's thankful for WSSC Water's efforts despite the fact that they're not their customers.
They really stepped up. I mean, I don't know if that was their intention initially, but the community outreach and with the news media and everything, they stood up for the cause.
WSSC.
Wow. That's rare that they actually got immediate help. Winter storm caused the pipes to burst and flood in an Oregon Humane Society in Portland. The animals are safe and comfortable, but we need your help. So if anybody is around this Humane Society, pick up the phone. Ask them what they need and what you can do for them. Oh, a whole lot of people need help. New Jersey neighborhoods freeze now. Now they're dealing with the flood in their homes, outside their homes. Now it's just freezing. So this is not going to abate for them until the temperatures rise and the water recedes. They've been dealing with this, I don't know how long, maybe 5 days or could be a week.
On Fayette Avenue in Wayne, this neighborhood looks like a frozen tundra, though if you walk on the icy layers that cover the front lawns of homes, you'll probably fall through. Water now sits on the roadway, attracting these creatures who normally would be floating in the Pompton River, behind these homes that some residents have abandoned.
I'm out now. There's nothing in there. There's no floor. There's no nothing.
Gerard Neville came back to check on his rental unit, completely destroyed after December's storm. He says he was swamped with 2 feet of water and is now staying with his sister.
It's getting tiring. Yeah, I'm getting too old for this. Getting too old for this.
He says his elderly neighbor moved out too, and he's had enough. Like many who rent on this street, Neville doesn't have rental insurance.
Pull the switch so we can get some relief. I mean, I don't know the politics behind it, and I don't want to know. I just want to know that we're going to get relief.
By midday, plow trucks navigating on slippery roads in Wayne and other streets like Fairfield blocked off. This playground in Lincoln Park iced over. Along the water, a strange sight. A Jeep pushed up against a tree.
It's been like, I think maybe a month. It's been up there. They haven't put it down yet. Now I'm thinking that they put it up there on purpose so like their car doesn't get messed up.
In Little Falls, William Street flooded last Friday, now cleared up except for a light layer of snow. Back in Wayne, Omar Kasim says he lives in one of the township's flood zones and understands the pain so many are going through.
Like I have a couple friends that they haven't been going to school for like 2 weeks because their whole house has been flooded.
And again, as the...
Oh, and it's not going to let up until the temperatures rise. But hey, make Georgia a chemical-free state.
Every day, guys. Every day.
Every day, guys. Every day. Just in case you didn't hear him. But unfortunately, even though states like New Hampshire has a proposed bill to stop the weather modification and the geoengineering going over it doesn't matter at this point, because the geoengineering has been going on for a very, very long time, and states, you need all, well, I was going to say you need all 50 states. No. You need China, Russia, Brazil. You need the United States and other countries also to stop. You can't just stop it over New Hampshire. So, but at least that kind of legislation could maybe wake people up to the fact that, oh, there really is weather modifying people out there and the geoengineering. They're not conspiracy theorists, though. One would hope. More grid trouble. Tennessee Valley Authority asks customers to conserve power amid cold blasts. And Canada is doing it, and a whole lot of states. Conserve your power. It's cold out there. And if you don't conserve your power, well, it may go off.
Residents are dealing with flooded apartments at a downtown Houston complex tonight.
Now their homes are left soaking wet on the coldest night of the year so far. KPRC2's Gage Golding joins us now from the Hamilton Luxury Apartments with a look at what caused the pipe to break. And Gage, it might not be what we're all thinking.
Yeah, myself included, we're all thinking that it's what? Frozen pipe. So I spoke with property managers here. They say not so much as on a frozen pipe, it's actually a faulty pipe.
A waterfall forming in one of the worst places and at the worst time of year.
I was just like, what the f***?
You might be thinking the same thing if you woke up to puddles in your living room.
I walked into the living room and saw that my entire living room was flooded, and I heard like a waterfall, so I looked outside and the ceiling was just a waterfall.
It's more like Niagara Falls, flowing down the hallway and into apartment after apartment.
I was like, sake.
Samantha Moon lives on the first floor of the Hamilton Luxury Apartments off St. Joseph Parkway in downtown. Her cat's alerting her to the leak around 9:30 Tuesday morning. She and her boyfriend spending hours afterwards pushing and sweeping the water away. The damage is already done.
This couch is like cloth underneath, so it's probably bad.
I met with the property manager here. She didn't want to speak on camera, but tells me 6 out of the 147 apartments are damaged. The culprit? This pipe. She says it wasn't frozen, rather faulty, an improper fitting leading to the leak.
Do you believe it?
I don't really know much about pipes, but it's very convenient the time that it broke. I don't know. It was really cold.
Now
Perhaps saying that to point the finger at the pipe company or not the apartment complex. And yeah, these Teslas and other electric vehicles are not working at all in these temperatures. So I'm going to play this again. It's very important for everybody to understand this green energy. Oh, it sounds so nice, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't work.
Everywhere in America's cold. Do what I do, layer up. Long sleeve shirt, vest, shell, jacket. But if you really want to stay warm, don't drive a Tesla. The freezing temps are zapping the juice out of electric cars, leaving drivers stranded. In Chicago, a little cold weather turned a supercharging station into an expensive junkyard.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Dead robots. Dead Teslas packed the parking lot at this Tesla supercharging station in Oak Brook, a scene mirrored in other supercharging stations around the Chicago area.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster, seriously.
With temperatures falling into the negative double digits, these charging ports have stopped charging, leaving many Tesla owners stranded here in long lines since Sunday.
Oh, it's a Tesla graveyard. If you bought an electric car, you're praying for global warming. Now, if you want to buy electric, do your thing. I don't care. But know what you're getting yourself into. I like reliability. I know there's a gas station around the bend, and I know my car won't turn into an icicle. Kevin Sumrock owns a frozen electric Audi. Kevin, what happened to the Audi?
Well, really, the Audi ran out of charge because the chargers weren't operating correctly when I was up in Chicago, returning from a much-needed vacation, which obviously didn't end well when I got back. So the car's fine. We did get it charged. I was able to pick it up tonight and get it back home. But I think this really comes down to the charging systems and the infrastructure, and it's less on the vehicles and more just are we ready for this consumer adoption that may or may not be ahead of us. I guess we'll see.
So Kev, you're driving back from vacation, much needed, and you pull into this charging station to get your Audi EV juiced up, and the whole place is a snowball and nothing works. What'd you think at that second?
Well, I was frustrated, and quite honestly, it wasn't the first time it's happened. There's been many times where a number of the charging stations aren't operational, either credit card readers aren't working, or just some of them are malfunctioning for different reasons. But it's something that really has to get worked out because it's an ongoing issue, and it's not just when it's cold, it's also when it's warm. So there's a lot of questions around infrastructure that we're going to have to figure out and get.
How about ditch it? How about just ditch it? Man exposes Trudeau's carbon tax scam. Oh, and it is a scam.
Yeah, Mahip. What? I want to show you his robbery. Come. What? So check this out over here. Okay. So over here, that is how much gas I actually used. I used $22.88 worth of gas. Mm-hmm. In order to get the gas delivered to me, $23.78. Then, in order to get the gas to Enbridge, it cost me $9.44. Then the federal government comes in with their federal carbon tax and charges me $26.76, more than what the gas itself costs. Then I have no idea what this is, but the gas supply charge of $28.58. That's the highest charge here. And then I got a cost adjustment, so they just felt nice, and I said, let's charge this guy another $6.73. So although my customer charge, what I actually used was $22.88 because I'm being mindful and I'm not using my gas up. My grand total for natural gas after HST was $133.05.
Well, now, that seems fair, doesn't it? I'm telling you, oh boy, we have to stop bending over and taking it. Here's another farmer exposes the lie behind Trudeau carbon tax.
It's currently minus 43 Celsius with the wind chill right now in central Alberta. And I'm all for green energy. But honestly, if it wasn't for natural gas, there'd be thousands of people in Western Canada right now freezing to death. Along with all the animals in the barns that farmers are trying to keep warm, what do? What is the alternative? There isn't a practical alternative to natural gas right now to keep us from freezing to death in Western Canada. So what does the carbon tax do? Well, it's just a tax. Because really, a behavioral tax will do no good if there isn't a practical alternative. And until we find a practical alternative, it's totally useless. And all it is just a tax.
Okay, so behavioral tax? A behavioral tax? They are taxing you a whole lot of money. As you saw, this man is actually paying more in his carbon tax than what he is using to heat or cook in his home. More money. Carbon tax. And it is a behavioral tax.
You know what, with the carbon tax, if you're talking about taking a part of it, it's kind of an all or nothing thing, right? They started diluting the carbon tax as soon as they started talking about giving a rebate. So when they brought in the tax on cigarettes to reduce smoking, if they had come up with a tax on cigarettes and said, but we're going to send you a check so that you don't feel any economic impact on the tax, nobody would have stopped smoking. The whole point of the carbon tax is to make behavior unaffordable so that you change your behavior. The problem with the carbon tax in Canada, one, it's a cold country. We heat our homes in the winter. There's vast spaces. We drive a lot. Groceries have to be transported, far. The carbon tax is one tool in the fight against climate change. It's not the only tool. And I think this government has treated the carbon tax like the sacred cow of climate change. And the minute you question that, the minute you ask about anything else, you're suddenly a climate change denier. So if you had played that clip between Poilievre and Trudeau right to the end, at the end of his response to Poilievre, he called conservatives climate change deniers. And that is, that's typical for this prime minister. He plays divisive politics and he doesn't allow for nuanced conversations on big, important issues. So, this is pretty typical behavior, I think.
Right.
And I will say that it's very reflective of the intelligence of the people in the society. Not everyone, but it is. I mean, if you ask a question and then the response is you're a climate change denier, hello? Hello? So, do people need to look into the weather modifiers? Yeah. Absolutely. Will they? No. And here, Quebec man pleads guilty to setting 14 forest fires. Trudeau claimed it was climate change. Oh well, Trudeau. Quebec man admitted to setting a series of forest fires that ravaged the province and forced hundreds of people to flee their homes last year. It was Brian Perry. Who the hell knows? Maybe this is just to get people off. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to sneeze. Get people off the directed energy weapons. All right, so I see this from Peter Sweden. Sweden scrapping Agenda 2030 goals. Wow, really? Sweden has been doing a lot of right things lately. They have scrapped the renewable energy plans and have been pushing for more nuclear power. In the new year, Sweden removed climate taxes on fuel, causing diesel prices to collapse. And now apparently they're scrapping the sustainable goals of Agenda 2030. Well, I tried to find another source because there's no link at all to the source. So I couldn't find any. So if anybody knows, and I'm not clicking on allow cookies, this came out January 8, 2024. And Sweden, it's all about how they're pushing the agenda. So if anybody knows what's happening in Sweden, please inform us. Not a fair process. Not a fair process. Okay. Utility companies are, and water companies, they are screwing people up the wazoo.
Ask for one. It's sort of the end of the line in terms of recourse if you think you're being charged for water you didn't actually use. Well, after disputing his high water bill for 10 months, David Daniel dialed in to what was supposed to be his administrative hearing to finally settle the matter. But what happened next can be described as maddening and mind-numbing. 28 minutes Daniels will never get back.
David Daniels is a landlord.
All 4 units are all the same size.
These 4 small townhomes in Spring Branch share the same water meter. Since 2020, they've used an average of 9,000 to 12,000 gallons of water each month. Daniels divides the $200 bill, so each tenant pays about $50. Until last February, when the Houston Water Department charged him for 56,000 gallons of water, $869 deducted from his bank account.
It's like 2 Olympic swimming pools that came out of this property.
He checked for leaks but found none. The city reread his meter and said it was fine. He requested a water meter accuracy test and told the city he wanted to be present for it. And he asked for a ton of other records to get to the bottom of the large bill.
I wanted to have that info in front of me so that I could, speak educatedly over my account.
While he waited, the city approved his request for an exceptional circumstances adjustment. They credited him a whopping $88.
The explanation made absolutely no sense from the representative on the phone. That she couldn't articulate how that calculation was come up with.
The next and final step to dispute his bill was an administrative hearing by phone on November 30th.
Ms. Elizabeth Orozco will be the City of Houston representative, and she is going to present the city's evidence and testimony first.
When Daniels asked the hearing administrator and Orozco for the records he requested months earlier,
you're right, Mr. Daniels. I did. I overlooked that email. I didn't see that. I mean, I saw the email, but I didn't think I had. I don't know. It just didn't. I missed it. Honestly, I missed it.
Ms. Orozco, was the bench test performed?
I think it was. I can't remember. Honestly, I've been so sick, I can't remember. But I think it was. I think it was.
Why don't we go ahead? We'll hold the hearing today.
It was definitely not a fair process.
KPRC2 Investigates has heard this claim before. Daniels' recording gives it some credence.
It's a complete waste of time. It's like being led blindly into a courtroom, not knowing what you're about to be charged with or what evidence is going to be produced, and then asking to represent yourself with no ammunition, if you will, no documentation, no backup, no support.
But it gets better. And by that, I mean worse.
On December 15, 2022, a reading of 1425 was obtained. But
after more than 5 minutes of testimony from Orozco,
this concludes my presentation.
The hearing administrator pipes up.
Okay, I've been out of the meeting this entire time trying to get back in. So any conversations that have taken place, I have not heard. I got disconnected and no one allowed me back in.
You want me to start over?
After the failed hearing, the city sent Daniels the records he had requested. They show on October 19th, more than a month before his hearing, the city did test his meter without him. His meter failed the test. Later, a city spokesperson told me by email Daniels' meter had been under-registering the amount of water his tenants were using. The city denied any wrongdoing, but said Customer Account Services is working to improve communications with customers.
And when was that 56,000 gallons?
That was in February.
Last February.
Last February.
So we're coming up on a year.
Exactly.
And this is not resolved.
Correct.
All right, so the very next day after the city sent us that statement, Daniels received a credit to his account for $726.72. A water department employee told him those changes the city council approved in the code back in December.
Okay, you know what? Took him a year to resolve this. The news, this Click to Houston gets on it. Next day, boom. You know, we've got sorry-ass fellow Americans. St. Petersburg, Russia. This is a warehouse, wild berries. So it's not just the United States experiencing a whole lot of food plants or warehouses going up in flames. French farmers blocking the roads by dumping manure. Well, that'd be kind of hard to drive through, don't you think? Yeah, it would be very hard, Carol. I know. Okay. So, Jordan Peterson lost his appeal. Well, they dismissed his appeal in the free speech battle. I'm sure a lot of you know what this is about. Ontario court dismissed his appeal, and the college requested Peterson's voluntary participation to receive social media training because they didn't like his tweets. And I'll link below to the article. You can read all about it if you don't know anything about the Jordan Peterson case. But that's very tyrannical. Wow. What's happening in Canada. So the college requested Peter's voluntary participation to receive social media training in response to public complaints about his online conduct. Peterson declined. The college subsequently ordered Peterson to undergo the training and mandated that he finance the training. Peterson took the issue to court, arguing that his charter right of freedom to expression had been violated. There are no further opportunities for Peterson to appeal the decision. It's final. So he has to undergo re-education, and if he refuses, he could lose his license as a clinical psychologist. Wow. Peterson has previously said that he would record whatever training he receives. So he said, I'll comply with their regulations, but I'm not going to do it in secret. And the reason I'm not going to do it in secret is because I don't believe I've done anything wrong. So you can read about the complaints. Not good for the freedom lovers. Yes, we're losing the fight. Americans can no longer afford their cars. We have skyrocketing numbers of cars being repossessed. And, well, maybe that's good for those who won't be on the road anymore, for, the state troopers or, law enforcement to literally steal. Okay, I'm going to steal from you. I'm going to post the link to Brian's video here. National Sheriff's Association, and this is about civil forfeiture. And if you don't know about civil forfeiture, well, what that is essentially it is legislation that all states have passed for law enforcement to pull you over for whatever they claim that you have done, and then steal whatever monies you have in the car, steal your car. And it's not just for people driving, but if they claim that, let's say, well, I posted a lot of videos on civil forfeiture years ago, but there was a family that a son apparently got, arrested for marijuana. They ended up taking the parents home and their vehicles. The parents. Okay. Very dangerous law. If you don't know about it, you should find out about it. Very, very, very difficult to fight against it. This is stealing made legal if you happen to wear a uniform. It is so outrageous. Okay. So, and apparently truckers are going missing. What's going on? Missing truckers everywhere.
He was coming out of, let me show you the map on this. He was.
All right, so he's talking about a young trucker who was delivering hogs to someplace, and the trucker went missing.
David Schultz. He's 43, I think is what it was. November, that's good. November, and I'll put these pictures and I'll put the link to the video, the link to the articles that I'm talking about in the description once we're done. He was coming out of, let me show you the map on this. He was coming out of, there you go. I'm going to show you on the map where he was coming out of.
We're high tech.
He was leaving out of Eagle Grove, Iowa, which is right here. And he was coming over to Sac City, SAC City. He was delivering hogs. It's about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minute ride. Coming across 20, and it was about 11:51 at night, they saw him on a traffic camera in his truck coming west on 20 out of Eagle Grove to the hog delivery place. He was delivering live hogs like you deliver the live beef. They saw him on this road. They saw the truck. They took a picture of it. Initially, they thought there was somebody with him, even though he drives solo, which is kind of freaky. But they said, no, we think he was by himself. He never showed up, but he's on this road heading this way. They find his truck on 71. You'll see the arrow sticking up. Matter of fact, this whole map is the screen cap of the video that you're watching now. They show his truck, or they found his truck, because he never showed up. They found his truck northbound on 71 coming away from Sac City. And you can put that down now, babe. He had all his stuff in it, even though he wasn't in it.
It's crazy.
They found his jacket on the side of the road, away from the truck, on the side of the road, the other side of the road. His cell phone, all his stuff was in the truck. And I'm gonna tell the story, but I want to ask you guys that are watching, what's happened to you in these kind of situations?
I'll post the link to this channel. What's happening? What is happening? Had his jacket and his cell phone in the truck, and the trucker goes missing. All right, I'll link below also to JW's video here. The Ebola like mosquitoes or ticks. No, ticks. Ebola like bleeding virus found for the first time in ticks in France. Oh, here's what you need to know. All right, I'll just play a few minutes of it. Look, yeah, I do. If people don't do anything with the information, then is this entertainment for people? I don't know.
Really been looking into, and this really details some stuff that basically ain't been talked about. So we'll talk about what Klaus Schwab said, but first I looked into something that is very specific, and it was called Addressing Biodisaster X, Artificial Intelligence and 6G. And I linked it up with some things that's really strange in our recent goings. So what I looked at, it said, with 6G technologies, deep learning-based machine vision could have superhuman capabilities in monitoring and managing biodisaster X. Goes into say, tracking multiple objects simultaneously, providing real-time analysis of potential threats with high accuracy, helping officials track and monitor individual actors once identified. With advancement in 6G deep learning techniques, machine vision may eventually have potential to identify individual actors even when they wear face masks. So it goes deeper than that. It was this big opening criteria that I seen inside of this. So I'm like, is 6G linked to something that's going to come with this disease X scenario? And so we go deeper into it, and they leave this area that says biodisaster X threats. Of note, although many AI techniques are now well established, 6G technologies are still in their infancy. With the many unknown factors associated with AI and 6G development, it is possible that in the future, 6G and AI may underperform in their ability to assist biodisaster monitoring and management compared to our expectations and discussion in this study. So what does that mean? It may underperform, meaning that there's a gap there, that you're saying something else could potentially happen that could go wrong with the 6G. And what happened when they activated 6G on a mice? The brain cells got freaking increased by huge numbers. And guess what I just found out recently? China is basically looking at something here that Chinese scientists create a mutant coronavirus strain that attacks the brain and has a 100% kill rate in mice, as they admit there's a risk it spills over to humans.
Oh, what a world we live in. I'll put the link in again. And it's coming. We're going to have another pandemic. And doesn't anybody have a rental that I can rent out there? Anyone? Because I've got to get the hell out of here. I do not want to be in Arizona. Wow, I don't want to be near this border, which I am. It's not good. Not good. But our fellow Americans, former Miami-Dade school board member arrested for what? Oh, stealing.
Former Miami-Dade school board member under arrest and being booked into jail this morning.
Local 10's Rosh Lowe joins us live on the phone this morning with all the breaking details. And Rosh, what can you tell us about this arrest?
A pretty big deal. Loving Navarro, you may remember her. She was the former vice chair of the Miami-Dade School Board, and she has just been arrested. Let me tell you what the charge will be here. She's accused of stealing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from Miami-Dade schools. And we know how big of a deal this is, with our school district needing this money for students desperately. And now you have the former vice chair of the school board charged with stealing so much money from our public schools here in Miami-Dade.
You gotta love it. No, you don't. So here, I might play this 10-minute clip right through. Yeah. Here he is. Nogales. As I said, right on the border. Nogales, 18 miles away. I shop there. No, I don't want to be here.
So we're standing here at Santa Cruz and Drexler in Tucson in front of this major elitist
First he's Tucson, then he goes to Nogales.
facility that you probably never knew existed. Leave him alone! Who are you? Your father! Can I have your full name, please? No. And they made some story up about how we were using racial slurs?
Originally, they said we were using racial slurs.
Racial slurs?
I don't like people like you.
Why not?
We're racist.
Why would you hide your badge?
I have no obligation to speak with you.
Came from...
We have a situation out here on the South Gate.
Is that me? Are they talking about me?
Yeah.
My name is James O'Keefe, and I'm an investigative reporter doing an investigation into you and your facility. There's a shipment, I guess, of migrants coming into the facility.
Nobody's allowed into the facility.
Okay.
We're going to call the authorities right now.
Well, they're going to call the police on American journalists.
Support our independent journalism by going to o'keefeshop.com and purchase our merchandise.
James O'Keefe here in Nogales, Arizona, right next to Nogales, Mexico. There's the border fence right there. So we're actually going to go downtown Nogales, right on the border. That's the fence dividing Mexico and the United States. If you scroll right over here, this bank, or this former bank building, has been turned into an NGO called Elitist Angels. And the Elitist Angels NGO take the migrants, walk around the corner, and load them onto buses where American Red Cross workers are staying there. It's actually a former bank, but notice it says, this is not a bank. Este no es banco. This is not a bank. This is actually a local NGO organization where they have this sort of makeshift migrant facility. They actually locked the door when I showed up here. There are buses bound for Phoenix, Sky Harbor, Tucson International Airport inside this facility. One American Red Cross worker got really belligerent with me and almost grabbed the camera and covered his badge so that we couldn't see it. I read his badge out loud. Why are you blocking the camera?
Out of respect for humans. Okay?
What do you mean respect?
No discussion. No discussion.
Sorry, Tucker Carey Vincent? Why are you covering your badge?
Why?
Why are you covering your badge?
I'm done.
Where are you going?
California.
Why would you hide your badge?
I have no obligation to speak with you.
Yeah, but actually, I disagree with you. I think that as a public official who's getting hundreds of millions of dollars in federal money, I actually... Okay, sure. Now you're switching gears here. The moment we show up, they scattered incredibly, like people with something to hide, locking doors, running away, hiding their badges in their vests.
Leave him alone!
I have a right to be here, ma'am.
Leave him alone!
Who are you?
Your father! Your father!
Ma'am, what do you mean you're my father? I have a father. He's in New Jersey.
I'm here.
And this guy over there is talking. We're getting valuable information because the man over there talking to the officials works with us.
¿Este programa federal? ¿O es la ayuda que le dan? ¿Es programa federal o es...?
Programa federal.
Sí, programa federal, sí. Alitas acepta federal money, aunque sea non-profit.
No, viene de muchas partes, de condado.
Sí, se puede tener un familiar. Aquí tienen que tener un sponsor, sí, para que sí dejan todo. Sí, ya sé. Sí, pues como te digo, ya hacen peticiones. Yo sé cómo corre el agua, como dice la gente. Entonces ustedes no son los de... Esos son los de Texas, el del LAG.
Sí, de Texas y todo aquello son los que están tratando en California creo también.
Sí, pues todo de la línea, todo para abajo. Bueno.
No, aquí estamos organizados para que no pase eso. No, tienen unos días que andan así.
Tienen unos días aquí.
Sí, los camiones del albergue, se quieren meter los albergues.
Just by us walking over to this bus, they've actually called the police on us. Every time I show up anywhere, they just instantly call the police. Hi, I'd like your name and badge number, please.
Garcia 276.
What's your first name?
Garcia 276.
Your name is just Garcia? Can I have your full name, please?
No.
Can I have your full name, please?
No. You guys are just...
I'm an American journalist. I don't protest. I report. What did they say?
They're just accusing you guys of not letting someone in.
Well, we have the footage. So as you can see there, the officer is talking to them, talked to me, went back, and they made some story up about how we were using racial slurs.
Originally, they said we were using racial
slurs.
I don't like people like you.
Why not?
We're racist. You try to attack the people we work here.
The one gentleman came up, and it looked like he wanted to hurt me. He had his hand in his pocket there. Get down.
Don't get nothing.
What's that?
Don't get nothing.
Who are you?
Me?
Yeah.
It's not your business.
None of your business, man. We pay money for this, so we want to know what's happening.
So you don't pay nothing for this organization.
My tax dollars go to pay for it.
My tax pay too, and I don't tell nothing with the people. What are you talking about?
The guy who runs International Rescue Committee makes over $1 million a year off bringing people in this country. David Miliband is his name, and his company brings in $400 million from the feds.
You try to attack the people we work here.
I have it all on video. I filmed everything, so I didn't attack anybody. But then he found out that we were investigative reporters, and he let us be. Periodista de investigación.
Periodista.
Periodista.
Okay.
Alitas is a brand new 501c3 nonprofit organization. So we're going to go to Tucson, follow the white buses, and see the other facility where they hold the migrants and get more information about Alitas. So we're standing here at Santa Cruz and Drexler in Tucson in front of this major Alitas facility that you probably never knew existed. This is the bus that left from Nogales and has just arrived. How you doing, sir? Hi, you mind if we talk to the bus?
No.
We're journalists. We're doing a story. This bus here came from...
We have a situation out here on the South Gate.
Is that me? Are they talking about me?
Yeah.
What's the situation?
That you're here. I have to ask you guys something.
Am I allowed to stand here?
No,
It doesn't seem like it's like they're just recording right now.
Okay.
We'll see. We're out here waiting for the bus to leave, but just letting you know the situation that's going on out here.
Situation, you hear through the radio, you can actually hear on the security guard's radio that there's a, quote, situation about my presence. And here comes another. Look at this guy waddling. If you want to zoom in on the waddling here. He's waddling towards me. I don't know what that's about. Are we allowed to stand on the dirt, ma'am?
No comment.
No
Yes, no comment?
All this right here is part of this property.
Sir, what's your name and who are you with?
Don't worry about it.
None of your business, man.
I'm gonna have you guys.
Actually, I do worry about it because you guys get a couple $100 million in federal money. Let's see your face.
Call the authorities right now. If you guys are still here, that's fine. You guys can go with.
You're going to call the police on American journalists. You go rip up the Constitution. We just spoke with Caleb Milford, the operations manager, who threatened to call the police on us for our presence here. As you can see, it's this Pima County, Arizona. A lot of county officials wearing the badges. Santa Cruz County. Are you with the county of Santa Cruz or?
Yes.
They have school buses, and we've got big white buses through the fence. He said something like, it's none of my business again. It's none of my business, when in fact, this is a facility, as you can see, there's a lot of activity going on. Buses coming and going every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes. They are very scared about our presence here, and none of the American people know about this facility until now. We just spoke to the Uber driver who's pulling in to pick up the migrants. You're an Uber? Are you picking up the refugees?
Yeah.
You are picking up the refugees.
I know a lot of people here.
How long has this been operating?
A year.
A year?
Yeah.
A year. And what is, you know what the, you know Alitas?
Alita, I know Jorge, George, Grace.
Jorge, George, and Grace?
Grace.
Yeah.
And Jason. Diego. I have his phone number.
And the Uber driver gave me the phone of two employees that work for Casa Alitas. In fact, he saved them on his device as Jorge Casa Alitas and Jeanette Casa Alitas. Jorge and Jeanette. Thank you. All right. We're calling Jorge from Alitas. Hey there, this is James standing outside the Alitas facility.
Yes.
There's a shipment, I guess, of migrants coming into the facility. Alitas.
1150 West Drexel, but nobody's allowed into the facility.
Okay. So the car just has to park on the side here?
That is correct.
But just to be clear, I'm speaking with the right person? You're with Alitas?
No. I think you're confused.
Okay. Well, my name is James O'Keefe, and I'm an investigative reporter doing an investigation into you and your facility. And I'd like to ask you some questions. So I actually called Jorge, who denied his own identity as having worked with Casa Alitas.
Yeah, I think you've got the wrong person. So no, I don't. You can call CCS or whoever you need to talk to.
You sound pretty knowledgeable about the subject for someone who has nothing to do with it.
1150 West Drexel. But
So I followed the buses all the way from Nogales to your facility, sir, and we're standing outside.
we'll continue with your investigation. That's fine. That's fine.
I doubt you're going to be happy with. Oh, he just hung up the phone on us. Yes, even though he's saved in the Uber driver's phone. So there's two organizations. One is Alitas Angels, and the other is called Casa Alitas. We know it's called Casa Alitas because the Uber driver picking up the migrants has the employees saved as Jorge Casa Alitas and Jeanette Casa Alitas. The Uber driver strangely giving me the phone numbers for these people just because I have a tagger on my neck. I don't think he saw the word press there. In the dead of the night, there's a metaphor there someplace.
Support our independent journalism by going to o'keefeshop.com and purchase our merchandise.
Well, we need more, out there doing exactly, what James O'Keefe is doing. And whatever you think about James O'Keefe, all of these people who are doing this, it's necessary, and definitely necessary to circulate the information. So Tucson is an hour away from me. Nogales is about 20 to 30 minutes away. And yeah, there are people here who are very concerned about the migrant situation, rightfully so. And this cultural, this is in Italy. Is it in Italy? I think so. But it's amazing how many people don't do anything but just back away when two women are getting attacked.
Este punto de la capital tan custodiado también por efectivos de la policía de la ciudad que están de consigna y patrulleros que pasan, nos comentan a toda hora, pero claro, en el video se ve, ¿no? 6:20 de la tarde, son muy rápidos. La violencia con la que le retiran, le toman, le agarran. En este punto.
This guy runs away. But fortunately, there was somebody who was running towards him. Yeah, don't want to get involved. Oh, I'm going to get hurt. Here. Dutch police educate cultural enricher who harasses citizens. That wasn't a gun. It was a taser. Yeah, our societies are collapsing. This is the UK.
In the spray, yeah.
I think it's, yeah.
Always take the dog. He is tripping bulls. He down.
Oh man. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is in Italy. Illegal immigrants invading Italy. No controls. Just jumping off the boats, running up the beaches. Gee, I thought Maloney was going to put a stop to it. She can't. She has to follow the rules of the EU Commission. Another NGO human trafficker threatening to call the police outside the Central Elementary School in San Diego. This is Oreo Express.
Ask if you guys could leave, and if you have any further issues with that, we can just have the police handle it.
Yeah, please call the police. We want you to, because it's a First Amendment right in the United States.
Okay, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just asking if you could please leave, and if not, we'll just call the cops and have them deal with it.
Yeah,
okay?
please do. We've been here for 6 hours, and
Sounds
we'll
great.
be here tomorrow too.
You guys got it.
Oh, the very many places they're hiding all of the illegal migrants. Okay, here we're back into Arizona, Lukeville.
Sure, I'm taking off to pick up a camera I left on the other side of the mountain. It's running still. It was filming down there where everybody was coming through. So this is it. I got to run across the mountain where we just came to the border wall because I left a camera over there, and it's a nice 4K prosumer camera. I'm going to leave this live stream running.
Well, they gotta go somewhere, right? Hide them in facilities. The Americans pay for their bus tickets or airplane tickets, their food, their clothing, their shelter, their education, their medical care. We are flippin' mad. Crazy mad.
Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy and
we're flippin' mad. Crazy, insane, not angry.
and our most fundamental freedoms. Remember the chaos, the division, the attacks that took rights and liberties from the American people. We cannot allow that to happen again. Make an investment in our campaign, and together we can protect our freedoms and keep the White House. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what Americans want. For you to keep the White House. Okay. Make an investment? She didn't want to say donate. But that's what she meant. Anyone. I mean, we have so many existential threats. She being one of them. Biden. Trump. D.C. Congress. Local government. State government. Government is our existential threat. Government. Republicans and Democrats. And here, Lara Logan, who former CBS investigative journalist, who gave up because, well, she didn't want to be told what she could report. But really, who are these effing people? What on earth gives them the idea that they can get to decide for all of us? This is the definition of insanity? Seriously? How the F did we let these assholes think they are in charge? By doing nothing, by not caring, by never holding anybody accountable. That's how. Let it rip. And it's ripping. And this is I played this video last night. It's this guy talking about the new order. And Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, talking about how, well, it's not going to be, and it's so, the lies, man, the deception. He talks about how the international order will pretty much stay the same. Well, the international order, considering what it is now, as opposed to what it was decades ago, it will remain the same. Because the Western countries have lost their sovereignty. United States, It's gone. We have already been taken over. I mean, how is it that people can't see that? The whole campaigning, and the election year and all that. It is staged friggin' theater to get you to believe that we still have this country called the United States, and what? We have freedom? We have sovereignty? Wow. And the crime is just really, it's exploding everywhere. Newsstands in New York City now being just robbed by a couple of guys. And you have to wonder, are they illegal migrants?
And becoming the latest targets of robbers here in the city.
4 men now wanted in connection with at least 9 different incidents that happened over a span in less than 2 weeks.
Fox 5's Lisa Evers talked to a worker about the measures that he's taking to stay safe.
The owner of this newsstand at 54th Street and Broadway shouted no as a Manhattan robbery crew pulled him out of his stand. The NYPD says it's one of 9 violent newsstand and concession stand robberies in the last 2 weeks by the same 4-man crew. Cash is still king at the newsstands. In this case, that meant thousands of dollars.
That day it was more than 10,000 because we carry lottery here. So heavy cash we always carry here.
Police released these photos of the 4 suspects they believe are responsible for the 9 robberies, 2 downtown, 5 on Broadway, and 2 on the east side. Safety worries have forced some to shorten their business hours.
I'm a little bit right now scared because that thing happened here. That's why I'm a little bit scared. Before we close 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, but right now we close 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We finish.
The suspects wait outside the door of the newsstand like this so that when the owner comes out, that's when they ambush him. For decades, newsstands have been a beloved staple of New York culture. But as newspaper sales declined, their number dwindled from an estimated 1,300 in 1950 to just over 300 in 2022. This worker says the police are giving them extra support at closing time.
The police, so they give some protection right now. Every night they stand here.
Police say...
Oh boy. Increasing psychopathic behavior is a sign that society is on the verge of breaking down. What do you think? As cultural systems begins to dissolve due to political clashes, economic decline, the real evil tends to slither out of the woodwork. It happens slowly at first, then all at once. A sure sign of accelerating collapse is the growing prevalence of psychopaths and psychopathic behavior in the open. Your fellow Americans. Do they have to be clinically psychopathic? No. Do an awful lot of Americans have psychopathic behavior, narcissistic behavior? Yes. In fact, I would venture to say the majority do. U.S. appears to have entered the middle stages of such a collapse, with many sociopaths and psychopaths beginning to feel that they might be able to act out their worst impulses without consequences. Was it important to hold people accountable? Yeah. Is it still important? Yeah. For any kind of immoral behaviors. In the past 10 years, there has been a dramatic uptick in mass violence and theft, spontaneous planned riots. How do you have a spontaneous planned riot? I'm not quite sure. But social media, you can spontaneously plan a riot. Mobs, yep. We're in bad shape. When corrupt people run government, good becomes evil, and evil becomes good. Consider the extreme double standards in place between the treatment of leftist activist mobs and conservative protesters. Look at the government and media response to the BLM riots versus their response to the January 6th event. In the case of the Capitol riots, police fired rubber bullets and tear gas into the otherwise peaceful crowd. Then, when the protesters reacted violently, they were accused of insurrection. Is there any example of this kind of setup used against the political left? No. And, considering what happened on January 6th and what happened when Trump won the election, well, the videos are still up. You can see all of the destruction caused by the left activists who were beside themselves with Trump being elected. Yeah. But what does mainstream media call that? Fiery, but mostly peaceful. Billions and billions and billions in damages. But fiery, mostly peaceful. Okay. Well, that's quite wrong. But hey, you know, you get the society that has a whole lot of these behaviors that I guess people think are just fine. You know, when people are acting in immoral, and it is immoral to not hold people accountable. So, here we are, man. Here we are. It is such a disgrace. But here we have Bison, who is now, she was a social media presence that, you know, she posted on the Gaza Strip, bringing, you know, people. This was before October 7th. And now she's carting a press hat and a press vest, considering I think it's 106 journalists have been murdered. So here she is. I mean, this is, it's unbelievable. Gaza, live from the Nasser hospital, unable to sleep as the IDF carpet bomb the surrounding buildings.
Back to my home, even if it's destroyed. I don't know, where are you telling me from? You're in Europe, in America, Australia, you're Asian, you're African, you're Arab, I don't know. But if I told you, I'll kill you in front of the people of the world, if you did not give me everything you and your children and your family. What will you do? Huh? What will you do? You'll never give me your home. You'll fight. I'm not fighting. I'm recording and trying as much as I can to survive this. Without being a refugee more than this. I've been displaced from my home for 400 days, and I know what does it mean to stay without your home, your land. So I can't go anywhere, actually. I can't go. I can't go. This place where am I now, called Nasser Hospital. I'm trying to get out of it now because it's besieged and it's bombed and everything's shit around us. I can't leave. I'm trying tomorrow after tomorrow. But I mean, this place is a hospital. It's a damn hospital. And this place is the last functioning hospital. It's not only a normal hospital. It's not a hospital out of 100 hospitals. It's the last functioning hospital in
Gaza.
Despite the catastrophic death toll it has inflicted, Israel is losing on the ground and in the court of public opinion. There's no way that this ends that doesn't leave Israel a pariah state with occupation and apartheid on borrowed time, and they know it. So they're doing everything they can. Desperate acts of aggression to provoke a wider conflict with Lebanon, with Iran, with anybody, to draw in the US, to save them from the consequences of their own actions. And as Yemen shows, Butcher Biden is reporting for duty. With Europe's Frau genocide by his side, they are the ones who have enabled the continuation of Israeli terror. Without them, it would already be over. So take note, Butcher Biden. The ancestors of the Ireland that you claim to be from disown you. Keep our country out of your mouth. And as for von der Leyen and genocidal Germany, with your words and deeds supporting Israel in the ICJ, not in our name. The people of Europe stand with Palestine and with South Africa. Opinion.
Butcher Biden. Well, that is what it's... Look, man. Americans have to face themselves in the mirror. You know, for sure, they have to face their own truth, but the collective truth. We have been evil for, wow. Well, unfortunately, our entire existence. No, not morally superior, not exceptional, evil.
I've been a listener for the past 10 years. So I've been following you guys. I remember when Emma was back with the Young Turks, when Michael was still with you guys. But I'm sorry, I'm just nervous.
All right, well, don't worry about it. Where are you calling from? General area.
So I am Palestinian American, and I am from Chicago.
Okay.
Chicago has the biggest Palestinian American the biggest Palestinian community in the U.S. People think of Michigan, but Michigan has mostly Lebanese, Yemeni, but Palestinians are mostly in Chicago.
I didn't know that.
So,
more than New Jersey too?
More than New Jersey. So Chicago is like the capital.
Okay.
First of all, I know this is going to sound cliche, but thank you for covering us. Thank you for reporting on it. It's a suffocating experience to be Palestinian now. So we appreciate what you do for us. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you guys so much. So I just wanted to tell you guys that the community here, just like the despair here in the community, there's like a little Palestine in the suburbs of Chicago, and it's like small businesses are completely dead. No one is really going to restaurants, no one is buying anything, no one is shopping, everyone is just depressed. My sisters called me from like Alabama and Louisiana when things started happening, when the hate crimes started spiking up, thinking they were going to come to Chicago, which is sort of safer. But the little boy who died is in my child's class. I don't know if you remember him.
Yes, of course.
So I just remember having that conversation and telling them, nowhere is really safe. So we were just.
And that little child that she is talking about was the child that was stabbed, along with his mother, by their landlord for being Palestinian. Wow. All the lies. Children haven't slept for weeks. Really? That's a medical miracle? Cool channel name? Wow. You gotta think about what you're writing. You don't owe Palestinians. You don't owe Ukraine. You don't owe Taiwan. All lies. Everything is a lie. Yeah. Yeah, the kids in Gaza are having a fabulous time, and they're sleeping well. I'm going to post a link to this. This was just a kind of casual conversation with Abby Martin, Katie Halper, and I she kept saying that she was Middle Eastern, but she also said that people call her name is Rania, and people have called her Irania, so she might be from Iran. It was an interesting, casual conversation about what's taking place in Israel.
Encouraging.
The World Economic Forum. So this is the foreign minister of Iran speaking to, oh God, what's his name? Wow, I can't remember his name. But just another mainstream media propagandist.
An escalation.
Well, I agree with you in the West Asia region. Today we are witnessing the expansion and spreading of the tension, but the roots do not refer to the October 7th. Hamas is a liberating Palestinian resistance group, and what it's doing is it's fighting for the liberation of its land. It has conducted military operation and to that end. Of course, the slaughter of women and children and non-military people, we do not accept and approve that anywhere in the world. But it doesn't emanate from the October 7th. It has its root in 75 years of occupation of Palestine by the Israeli regime. So, when Israel started the genocidal war in Gaza after October 7th, we gave this warning that in case the genocide and war crimes committed against Gaza and the West Bank, if they do not stop, then the war will spill over. That's the warning we gave. It's not because of Iran's role in the spread of the war. It was thanks to the right understanding that Iran has regarding the situation in the region. So there are some fronts that you just mentioned, those countries. So in support of Palestine, those fronts opened up to support Gaza. So America made two strategic mistakes. The first one being that, to the best of ability, it stood by the genocide and ethnic cleansing happening in Gaza, and it followed and accompanied the Zionist regime, and it's been continuing so far. The second mistake was that they took the conflict and spread it to the Red Sea and to Yemen, and they started the killing of the people on board Yemeni ships. So the security, maritime security, has been heated seriously by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Yemen also is of the same opinion. But the security of the Red Sea today is kind of related to developments in Gaza. All of us will lose, all of us will be hurt if the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Israelis do not stop in Gaza, and various different fronts would remain active and operating. So the solution is not continuation of the war.
So, how long are we to wait for Israel to stop the genocide? CNN now admits they have to get all stories about what's taking place in Israel approved by an Israeli authority in Jerusalem.
Any more confirmation that the mainstream media is corrupt? We just got our clearest indication yet. CNN is now admitting that they have to get approval from Israel before they run any news pieces about the war in Gaza. Can you imagine that? So CNN, which purports to be an independent news organization, right, the most trusted name in news, has to run things up the flagpole in order to before broadcast. So a CNN whistleblower has come forward admitting to The Intercept that CNN has a long-time relationship with the Censor Bureau in Jerusalem. So let's just go through this piece. And you can see here, CNN runs Gaza coverage past Jerusalem team operating under shadow of an IDF censor, the Israeli Defense Forces censor.
I don't find that to be a surprise, but I will link below, maybe circulated, I don't know. Okay, so Susan Sarandon, don't care what you think about her. I have an awful lot that I disagree with, her positioning, but I'm with her on this.
And then what brings you to D.C. today?
Well, I'm here to support the Palestinian people and to ask for a permanent ceasefire and to keep the pressure on our representatives. I want to thank South Africa for what they've done to actually put everything in a document and to shame the rest of the world. And I'm just mostly here to keep the pressure on. We don't have as much money as AIPAC, but we have the people. And so what we have to do is keep making our feelings known and to make sure that people don't forget, aren't distracted. And so I'm very happy that I could be here.
And, most of the country supports a ceasefire. We don't see that reflected at all in our representatives, certainly not in the White House. What do you think that says about the system that we have?
I think it says we need a new system because it's not the first time that the people of the United States have spoken and have been ignored. We've seen this constantly. And I think that also we have to talk about censorship and self-censorship and the fact that, we could see that mainstream media didn't even cover South Africa when it had to do with Palestine. They only covered the half that had to do with Israel. And so how can people make educated decisions when they're not getting information, or when the information, the passive and aggressive voices that we see even in the New York Times? A lot of people the good news is a lot of people have not known for the last 75 years what's been going on in Palestine before the 7th. And I think this has been a great time for people to learn their history. And also, I'm just so moved by the kids, by the organization. What happened in New York the other day was the shutting down of all the bridges and the tunnel was so inspiring to me because they're not held by any party. They're held by issues, and they know what's going on, and they understand in terms of the environment and where the money is being spent.
The climate change is one thing I disagree with. Oh, Susan, get yourself educated.
They don't have health care. They don't have free education. They don't have subsidized housing like Israel does. And they're struggling, and they know what's going on with the environment. So I think they're at the point where they have nothing to lose.
And, lastly, I want to ask you, you faced a lot of consequences yourself for speaking out and being vocal. And I think a lot of people, still might be a little bit scared of repercussions, because this is an issue that when you speak out on it, there are repercussions. What do you say to those people who might still feel a little scared to speak out?
Well, I was fired by my agency that I'd been with for 10 years. I'd given 10% of everything I made to two Jewish women that represented me, Nancy Gates and Cheney Rosenzweig. And then all of a sudden I was fired because I had been at a march. And it really took me aback. And I think there's reason to be afraid. And I don't know what you say, except I'd like people to know that you're not alone if you're a teacher or someone that's been asked to sign a pledge, or that, so many ways that the students are being punished on campus. This is a very, very scary time to be in America and see so clearly the censorship. We can criticize our government, but we can't criticize Israel. I think we need to really ask for a ceasefire so that we can take a breath and try to figure this out. And because
Okay, so she thinks we deserve collective punishment? Really? At what point did she say that? All right. Just showing you, hey, we need to speak up. Red Sea conflict worsens, forcing more ship detours around Africa. What does that mean for all of us? There's a ripple effect of everything that takes place. What does this mean? Well, it means that the shipping that is taking place, that any of these ships that need to go around Africa and not through the Red Sea, it's more expensive. So whatever it is that they are shipping, it gets to the shores and it's more expensive for all of us. If crude and product tankers divert away from the Red Sea and Suez Canal to the same extent as container ships, tanker spot rates should rise because longer voyages would soak up tanker capacity. So we all get affected by this. And oh wow, man. What what do you say? What do you say about so many Americans suffering more and more, going off the cliff every single day, but President focusing on Ukraine today?
Our focus today, the president's focus today, is going to be about Ukraine and the importance of continuing to support Ukraine as they fight against tyranny, as they fight against President Putin's aggression. That's going to be the focus. And I said, the president is, he brings people together, obviously is willing to listen to what folks have to say, but that is the purpose, is Ukraine. And those negotiations on the Hill, on the Senate side, is going to continue. Our focus today.
Funny. There's no focus on our border, but we're protecting Ukraine from Russia invading. Oh, and here we go again. Blame the Republicans. The blame game. The same party that certainly when Obama was campaigning and also when he was in office, how many times did that guy say, we're not going to play the blame game? Well, Democrats sure do play the blame game very loudly.
I get the question, but Republicans in the House have been they've gotten in the way. They have gotten in the way when it comes to border security. They have gotten in the way and actually voted on pieces of legislation to take away some of the law enforcement, the CBP, right, at the border. That's what they voted on back in May. So we want to work with them, but they've been very clear where they stand. I get the question, but Republicans in the House have been they've gotten in the way. They have gotten in the way when it comes to border security.
Republicans, they're getting in the way. Get out of the way. Oh boy, and here's another one. So the border crisis is definitely on an awful lot of people's radars when you see that, well, a lot of the politicians are actually talking about it.
We said we have to do both. There were a couple of people in the room who said, let's do border first. We said we have to do both together. We said we have to do both. There were a couple.
What's both? Border security and support for Ukraine. Why can't Congress do one thing? Why do they have to smash so many different things into one piece of legislation? Because it kind of confuses things. So, what's going on? Carol believes we deserve collective punishment? I can't even address that. I don't. Yeah. I'm scared as heck. Kamala Harris tells Joy Behar. And when you listen to this, okay, subhuman. Yeah, I don't, what do you call these people? Subhuman. And she's talking about how powerful the people are on The View. Oh,
Well, let's talk a little bit about how you're going to go after the other side. Sure. Because some heavy-hitting Democrats are sounding the alarm behind closed doors. President Obama reportedly has said that he thinks the Biden campaign is too complacent when it comes to Trump. Representative Jim Clyburn has said the campaign isn't breaking through the MAGA wall. Michelle Obama says she's terrified, as we are, about the potential outcome of the election. Now, are you scared, first of all, what could happen if Trump ever became, God forbid, president again? And what are you going to do to stop the crazies?
I am scared as heck.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm traveling our country. You know, there's an old saying that there are only two ways to run for office, either without an opponent or scared. So on all of those points, yes, we should all be scared.
Yeah.
But as we know, and certainly this is a table of very powerful women, we don't run away from something when we're scared. We fight back against it.
That's right.
We do. So, right?
Yeah.
So many of us know when we are scared for the future of our children, do we then stay in bed with the covers over our head?
Nope.
No.
We can't.
We can't.
Cannot.
We cannot. And this is where this election requires, rightly, that President Biden and I and all of us who are part of this administration, we got to earn re-election. There is no question. We got to be on the road. Listen, in the last 2 weeks, I've been to Georgia, I've been to Nevada, I've been to North Carolina, I've been to South Carolina twice in the first 2 weeks of this year. I will be out on the road. We have to earn the re-elect. And we have to communicate what we have achieved.
Yes.
And that is going to be one of our big challenges. We've done a lot of good work. We need to let people know who brung it to them. And so we got to...
Speaking down to the people, we got to let the people know who brung it to us. What the hell? This is, you know, I'm quite sure anyone, do you have to buy a ticket to be an audience member of The View? Whether they buy the tickets or not, I'm quite sure The View audience members will, and The View viewers will vote. But these people are truly mentally disabled. Oh, stop the she is a man. Come on. Oh, man, everybody is transgender. So, do you get it now?
After we started putting a placeholder, you know, the first that came was in the disease X is COVID. So we have experience now, and we are preparing based on that experience. A lot of assessment has been done by independent panels and experts. And based on the recommendation, many initiatives we have already started many initiatives. And then the other key, in order to have better prepared and to address the disease X, is the pandemic agreement. The pandemic agreement can bring all the experience, all the challenges that we have faced, and all the solutions into one. And that agreement can help us to prepare for the future in a better way, because this is about a common enemy. And without a shared response, starting from the preparedness, we will face the same problem as COVID. And deadline for the pandemic agreement is May 2024, and member states are negotiating. This is between countries, and I hope they will deliver this pandemic agreement by that time, on the deadline.
Are we going to see a pandemic erupt, maybe in June, right after that pandemic agreement gets set in place? Perhaps. Someone said that about me. Don't know what you're referring to, but a whole lot of people say a whole lot about me. Woman faces eviction. You know, I hesitated because I don't want to see all of the comments about this woman. She's obviously quite overweight, the cookies, whatever. It's not about that. It's about an awful lot of people who are facing eviction in sub-zero temperatures.
Says she faces eviction this weekend during sub-zero temperatures.
She admits she's had trouble paying her rent, but she says nobody should be forced into the cold like this.
KETV Investigates is working to get answers and shelter for her. Here's Sean McKinnon.
Near 72nd and Military at Keystone Villas Senior Living, Joan Walkowitz says she's getting evicted Sunday.
Sorry.
The forecast shows actual temperatures well below zero.
I'm terrified because of the cold, number one. And number two, the streets are not nice. They're not pretty.
KETV Investigates talked with Joan last year when her rent was raised 25%. The executive director, Jennifer Hopkins, called it a market analysis.
I just wish there was more housing available to low-income people.
Each month, Walkowitz gets about $1,000 from Social Security and disability. With her rent raised about $800 monthly, she's left with only $50 a week for food and everything else. She admits she stopped paying rent.
Which is wrong, and I realize that.
She has spinal stenosis, and she's in pain.
Yes, 24/7.
Joan can't get up on her own and needs a shelter that can accommodate.
Scared. I'm scared because it's difficult. I use my scooter, and it's hard to get transported.
KETV Investigates met with the apartment's executive director. Jennifer Hopkins declined to go on camera. She has not emailed us back. In the meantime, we've looked into finding shelter for Joan, and we're still looking. Joan's been in this position in the past. Now that reality
I'll be homeless.
Is setting in again.
I feel like I'm shutting down because it's so daunting. I just want to give up.
Oh, man. Seniors in St. Anne told they all have to move out of their apartment complex due to building renovations.
And senior living complex got an unexpected surprise last week, a notice that the entire apartment building needs to be cleared for renovations. That means all residents must be out by the end of February. New at 10, John Kipper reports on how residents are scrambling to find a new place to live.
It's real for me to figure out what the hell am I going to do?
At least 95 seniors in St. Anne were recently told they have 7 weeks to move out and find a new place to live.
Totally out of the blue.
That is totally a gut kicker.
Eagle Point Companies runs Santa Ana Apartments and gave notice to the 95 households in the facility last week that they need to move due to a planned 10-month renovation stemming from issues last summer. They tell First Alert 4 engineers and consultants told them the safest option was to close so they can clear asbestos and make other necessary fixes, saying the determination to empty the building was made based on the larger requirements of a major renovation and to eliminate any potential risks to residents.
These people have been living with bed bugs and mold.
Mayor Amy Pelker pointed to past issues with the building First Alert 4 told you about. Back in July, residents were left with no air conditioning, no running water, and showed us mold and bugs inside units. Mayor Pelker says she's thankful Eagle Point is working to actually fix the building.
For Eagle Point to actually, instead of sell the building, to take the opportunity to tear it down from the bottom and rebuild it up, I think shows a lot for their character.
Now, there are some Santa Ana residents that pay full rent on their own, but also many are on Section 8 housing vouchers. A meeting was held last week in which management for Eagle Point told residents they're working with HUD to temporarily switch over rent assistance so those residents can find housing. But there's no guarantee that'll happen. And residents appear worried, including Kevin Reagan, who says he only gets $1,400 a month for his disability.
So I've got all my physical problems I'm having to deal with, and now I'm dealing with being kicked out where I've lived for 5 years, and we have to be out in 50 days.
Residents here are trying to do anything they can to extend their stay before they have to move out. They're trying to hire a lawyer and also starting a petition asking for a few more months here in the building before they have to move out. So far, it's up to 37 names and counting.
Where are these people going to go? Where are they going to go? Oh, wow. It's really just growing fear over increase of seniors experiencing homelessness in San Diego.
So
we need more than platitudes that we're on it, we're working on it. We need shelter beds, we need more affordable housing, and we need to do whatever we can to expedite that.
Point in time count will show more seniors experiencing homelessness. CBS 8's Shannon Handy has more on the latest numbers and what one expert says is forcing people onto the streets.
Last year's point in time count found about 30% of people experiencing homelessness are 55 and older. That was an increase from the year before, and the president of Serving Seniors fears this year those numbers will be even higher.
In San Diego now, for every 10 people that are housed, 16 become unhoused. A year ago, it was 10 housed, 13 unhoused.
For every 10 housed, 16 are unhoused in San Diego? That makes me want to say, holy shit. Did I hear that correctly?
Serving Seniors President and CEO Paul Downey calls our local homeless situation a crisis, specifically as it relates to the number of seniors living on the streets.
The trend has been upward. Anecdotally, just from the number of people coming in for our services, we continue to see an upswing.
Downey attributes that upswing to the higher cost of living as well as a lack of shelter beds and housing. During today's lunch service at Serving Seniors, the cafeteria was packed with seniors in need, many of whom slept outside waiting for the doors to open because they have nowhere else to go.
I have seniors who tell me the story. They will get up at 5 o'clock in the morning from wherever they're sleeping, go to one of the shelters, and wait to try to get in until usually 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and often be told there are no beds available.
On January 25th, the Regional Task Force on Homelessness will hold its annual point in time count to determine how many people are experiencing homelessness across the county. It helps to secure funding and understand what the needs are. Organizers are looking for additional volunteers. Downey is taking part and believes aside from finding more seniors, they'll also discover an uptick of people living elsewhere, such as riverbeds and unincorporated areas, because this year's count will be the first one since the city of San Diego enacted its encampment ban.
They're trying to find shelter, and with the encampment ban, they're just being reshuffled to other parts of San Diego County.
They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go.
Gary Brown can relate. The 65-year-old was homeless up until this past July when he was able to secure housing. He's one of the lucky ones, saying the list of those in need is long.
Some people get put on a list for 2 or 3 years and they can't get into low-income housing.
Brown's advice, accept help when it's offered. But Downey says it goes beyond that, adding while millions of dollars are being invested into solving the homeless crisis, there needs to be more urgency and action in doing so.
We need more than platitudes that we're on it, we're working on it. We need shelter beds, we need more affordable housing.
We need to stop spending billions, sending billions over to Ukraine, billions over to Israel, so more killing can take place, and build tiny homes. It would not cost all that much to really remedy the homeless crisis for people who are sober, not drug addicts. That would take additional remedies. But we're talking about seniors. We are talking about families going homeless, putting them out on the street. It is a reflection of the American people. Americans could unite, even just on that issue. Stop paying taxes, demand your government to spend the billions on Americans. But that would mean Americans taking action. And yeah, I think that it has been just the steady inculcation of not caring about the elderly. Because an awful lot of people do not. And it's evident in what we're seeing. More and more senior centers kicking people out. More and more, how about the hospital dumping of homeless elderly? Literally dumping them out onto the street. You know, yeah, it says something about our society. And our society is made up of Americans. So, yeah, we need to face the truth about who we are as a people. You need to face the truth before you can go on and, well, heal what needs to be healed. You know, you're not going to be able to do anything if you can't face the truth about who you are and who we are as a people. It would not take all that much, but we just don't do it. And yes, you know, if watch what people do. That's how you can see what they care about. It is pretty frightening. It's very frightening what is happening. So, yeah, live honestly, speak honestly. Reestablish trust. Establish yourself as a trustworthy human being. It'd be fabulous if we could get the American people to stop paying taxes. But people are too scared. They're just too scared. And I think more and more people are getting more scared. You know, the self-censorship where, you know, they're not speaking up. Oh my God, if I share a different view than my social network, I'm going to be abandoned. Well, you know, that's in part the growth that we all need. So, anyway, it's bad out there, okay? It's really bad. And I do, you know, think that there are an awful lot of comfortable, awake people who are not realizing how bad it really is. And, you know, experience definitely, you know, brings a whole new perspective on what is taking place. Still wish Carol would take down the sidebar. What does that mean? What sidebar? Because you're scared? I don't understand. Oh, I wish I could understand comments. No, and cool channel name, you probably don't even do anything to help anybody. So, yeah. What sidebar? Well, maybe I'll see it as I leave the chat open for a few minutes. But on that note, just stay safe, you know, situational awareness, always. And thank you for showing up. Hope to see you tomorrow. Good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.